Have you ever thought about the possibility of really becoming a freelancer? And do you like social media and wish that maybe you can make some more money with it? Well, we have an interesting guest today who does exactly that. She helps folks, some with backgrounds in social media management, some without backgrounds in social media management. But she has programs, experience, and the ability to help people make freelancing a reality. So if you ever had a dream of maybe supplementing your income or leaving your job altogether and going it alone, so to speak, then I'm sure we're going to get some great tips from today's guests. Latasha James, welcome to the Evolved Marketing Podcast.
Thank you so much for having me. Happy to be here.
Yeah, we're super excited that you're here with us. I reached out to you. I went on YouTube and I searched for social media strategies, and then you literally were the first one that popped up. So I decided to just reach out to you on Instagram, and that's how we got here.
Yeah. Okay, glad to hear that SEO is working on YouTube.
Yeah, that's always a good sign. It's like, yes, I showed up for number one and at the right search, because that's really where you want to be. That's your industry. That's what you specialize in. Maybe the best place to start here is about YouTube.
Yeah.
I looked back and doing some research before the show and saw that you had your first YouTube video posted probably over 10 years ago. It said 10 years, so that's probably 10 plus years, which is incredible.
Mm-hmm.
I've been in the YouTube space for a long time, and that's longer than I've been around. So you're one of the OGs of YouTube. So I do want to talk about that. But first, in your words, Latasha, so everybody knows who we're dealing with here today. What do you do now? And then take us back to the early days of how you got started.
Yeah, for sure. I'm a marketing strategist and video creator, online educator. I have a podcast, a YouTube channel that helps freelancers primarily just really grow their business, learn about social media strategies that they need to succeed, and just navigate this interesting career choice that we've chosen for ourselves. And yeah, so how I got started, I mean, it's funny because YouTube, yes, I have technically been on YouTube for 10 years, but I always like to tell people, I don't want that to scare people when they think about, oh, can I start YouTube? And, will it be helpful for my business today? Because for the first 5 or so years of that YouTube journey, my content was completely irrelevant to what I do today. I started YouTube just for fun. I don't know. It was just like, I was in college at the time, just seemed like something fun to do. I was doing primarily like beauty and fashion content. So nothing to do with what I'm doing now. I had a small amount of followers, maybe 1,000 to 2,000 before I transitioned over to doing entrepreneurship content. So I don't want that to scare people. You don't have to be on YouTube 10 years to see success with it. It started out as a hobby for sure, but it definitely helped me, improve and learn the sort of the YouTube game, if you will.
Yeah, so you started doing like beauty tutorials and then maybe some product reviews. What was the shift from there into like becoming an expert on social media?
Yeah, I just loved, I love to nerd out on like the SEO stuff. And I started to really see just the subtle differences that you could make. It wasn't really about the video itself. Sure, that was part of it, like getting the good production value and all of that. But I started to learn a lot about keywords and thumbnail strategy and even just, content strategy as a whole. And that became the side of it that I really, really loved. Like I was like a makeup artist or anything like that. It was just a hobby. So I started talking a little bit more about that kind of stuff, of the behind the scenes of YouTube. And, this was early days kind of YouTube. So people started asking for my advice. And, I just kind of started consulting from there.
Interesting. It's like the market told you what they wanted. So it was a natural transition for you. And that's great. Now,
yeah,
I'm excited to talk about the SEO side of things. And I like when you said that I like to nerd out on the data, because my background, I mean, it's been a long time now, but my start was in SEO with blogs. So we'll get into that in a second. But first, I want to talk more about freelancing. Andre, our background's affiliate marketing. So it's kind of like freelancing. I mean, we're not really working for anyone. We're responsible for our income. No one's telling us to do a job. and then we get paid for it. We only get paid when we get results. So we understand that, but I want to kind of talk about freelancing because you're the first freelancing expert we've had on here. What is so attractive about it, and how is it different from affiliate marketing? Because you do have a background in affiliate marketing, so I think you'd be a good person to answer that question for us.
Yeah, it's funny. The timing is great to talk to you because I'm like, I need to pull the lever a little bit on affiliate marketing myself because so the big difference with, between affiliate and freelancing is very much an active revenue stream, whereas affiliate, I don't even really like to use fully passive because we know that's not entirely true. You still have to do something to get the results, but I would say semi-passive. You're not necessarily having to create a new product or perform a service for somebody. It's maybe you're creating content and posting a link or, whatever it is that you do there. So that's the main difference is as a freelancer, you are actually going to be performing a service for a client and providing some type of deliverable or service.
And then when you first started with the YouTube tutorial, what were you like the first services that you were offering for people? Maybe did you check Upwork or like what were the things that you were doing?
Yeah. Upwork was an early way that I got clients. So the story of my first client that came from YouTube actually came inbound. So I reviewed a kind of like a service that I used for YouTubers. It was like a tech company, just totally organically. I just wanted to share with my audience. Again, I was talking about the business of YouTube, the business of marketing, all of that. I reviewed the service and one of their, I guess you could say competitors, somebody who's building a product very similar to the tool that I reviewed, reached out to me and said, "Hey, can you do some consulting for us?" And I got on a Skype call. He was based in Paris. And I ended up working for that company for, I think, 3 or 4 years, leading up their American marketing operations. So that's kind of how the first client came to me. And then I would supplement that. I would go on to Upwork. I also had a blog alongside my YouTube channel. I've always kind of had a blog since the early days of like live journal. So writing came very naturally to me. So I did a lot of freelance writing on Upwork. That's really where I found my first clients. And then from there, a lot of them just started coming inbound. The more that I started documenting the journey, talking about what I was doing, building up my website, all of that, a lot of clients just came to me.
So you mentioned you started YouTube when you were in college. It was kind of a hobby, if you will. I think you made some money through affiliate marketing and stuff, but you did have the transition into freelancing. And then we'll get into what you do now, how you help others do the same. Did you go from college straight to freelancing, or was there a period in between where you had a job that you were looking to get away from? How did that work out?
Mm-hmm. Yeah, graduated college and moved to Detroit to work in the automotive industry, as people do here. I got a job in corporate marketing, and then I worked there for a couple years, went on to work at a Fortune 500 staffing company in their marketing department. And so, I worked in corporate for 4 to 5 years before going full-time freelance. But I was building my business on the side. I still kept the YouTube channel. I still always had, like I said, I worked with this French startup client. That overlapped with my corporate job. So I was kind of always moonlighting, if you will, and having something else on the back burner.
Nice. And what were you studying at college?
Film and media studies, yeah.
And that's why you started, the YouTube channel, trying to like record stuff. Did you ever offer filming into your services as well?
Yeah, for sure. I mean, I'm getting back to that. So that's really one of the primary services that I offer today is I actually shoot content for others. That was an early project that I did as well when I was in college. I would take on freelance gigs here and there. I've kind of niched in and figured out exactly what I want to shoot for people. So I do a lot of educational content, helping others create courses. And actually, I realized as I've been talking to other entrepreneurs that that's a major roadblock for a lot of creators and educators is actually getting something professionally shot. And I've done that. I've had results that speak to it. So that's something that I'm doing a lot of now.
What does that process look like? If someone reaches out to you, is it typically quote unquote solopreneurs who want to create a course but need the help with the production. And yeah, I see you're shaking your head. So I think we're on the right track. So what does that process look like? Someone says, hey, I want to hire Latasha to help me shoot a course.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. So I go through and we do kind of a deep dive of your course, make sure that it's something that you actually need full service production for. Cause I think a lot of times also people overcomplicate it. And so we kind of go through, do some consulting on that. I'm not an instructional designer by any means, but I'll go through from a marketing lens and say, hey, here's what I think, you need aesthetically. And then we map out what we want the actual shots to look like and set up a shoot. So either you can come here to Detroit, or I've also flown out to my clients' locations and booked out a studio and loaded up the teleprompter if they want to do that. Some people like to freestyle it. I work with just a small team depending on the shoot. It'll depend on how many people I need, but usually it's just like 2 to 3 of us on set.
But it's very hands-on, done with you type fulfillment.
Yeah, absolutely. Yep, full service. Cool. And then afterwards, it's full production, editing. We'll get it loaded up into the course platform for you and everything.
Wow. So that saves a lot of time on the course creator, because I'm a course creator as well, and it takes a long time to like get everything ready, get everything set up. When somebody comes to you and wants to create a course, what are some of the main bullet points that they're looking for that you already have?
Well, I mean, I think there's a couple sides of it. Like I said, there's this kind of consulting side because, again, a lot of times the people that I'm working with, this is their first time creating a course, or this is their first time creating a course at this level. Maybe they've done like webcam videos and just kind of thrown things up, but they're looking for, that really professional edge to it. So as someone who's done almost $1 million in course sales on my own and worked with a ton of different companies and things like that, I'm approaching it with that experience and being able to kind of coach you along the way as well. So it's not just like you're hiring a film crew and expected to do all the prep work yourself. I'm actually doing some of that prep work with you, coaching you. We also, depending on the need, we'll go through like one-on-one sessions where we test out teleprompter together, work on being camera confident together. Like it's a very hands-on experience. So I think that's the big thing that people are missing. And it's a big thing that, I've shot courses for a lot of really big companies, and I felt very not supported in that way. Like, it's like we get on, we turn the camera on, and I'm just, no preparation, no support, no kind of cheerleading. And so I really want to, I've been in their shoes. So I really want to make them feel supported and excited about it.
Yeah. Make them feel at ease, because it seems like what you're really doing is you're helping them with the confidence to go through with it type thing. Not that they're not going to go through with it, but it's just, it puts them at ease. It's like, okay, this is being done right. And then they can relax and probably end up delivering better material because they are obviously experts in whatever they're trying to teach. It's just they get so nervous about the production and where's the camera go and what kind of microphone that it can kind of taint it. So I think it's an excellent service. I do want to talk about confidence, and we'll take it back to the moment when you said you were moonlighting as a freelancer and eventually you went full time. What was that moment? Because I think a lot of people have that idea in on the horizon when they start a side hustle, whatever it is, whether it be a freelance thing, whether it be affiliate marketing. They're like, when am I going to be able to leave my job? What did that look like for you?
Yeah. For me, it was, I had a lot of false starts, I'll say, because I kind of had it in the back of my mind. I was at the time listening to a lot of marketing content too, and kind of the bug was planted in my ear of like, oh, this could be a full-time business. I just need to save this amount of money, like this dollar amount. Well, I did that. And then I was like, okay, I still don't feel ready. I still don't like feel that calling or feel that pull. So let's just keep saving and let's just keep doing, I was really happy, to be honest, for a long time in my job. I worked from home 3 days a week, which at that time wasn't the norm. I know now it's kind of the norm, but I had a lot of free time, I felt like I was paid very fairly. And I was also learning a lot at my day job too, which I think is important. A lot of what built my business is the skills that I learned at my day job. So I didn't have this huge rush to leave even after hitting those milestones. But I think it really was a couple of, for me, it was a little bit of burnout. I started building up the business more and more, building a reputation for myself in my area. And I was saying no a lot. And I was saying no to a lot of opportunities that I really wanted to take on. And so, I was faced with some choices there. And also just personally, I had kind of like a existential crisis, I guess. Like my father passed away, and I think he was really young, and that was kind of a wake up call for me too. I was like, oh my gosh, I don't want to like die working in a cubicle, and I have this really great option, this really great other path that I feel really called to explore. Am I going to keep pushing it off? Am I going to keep saving another, however many dollars for years and years before I take the leap? So I think those couple of things coupled together really, really pushed me to just try it. And that's the thing. It's not forever. I could always go back and get another job. I think, and I was in the position too where I don't have kids, wasn't married, didn't have a mortgage. So I kind of was like, this is the best time to give it a try. There's not a whole lot that I could mess up really.
Yeah. So I'm guessing now you're a mother now?
No children.
Yeah. Okay.
No.
And then also when you first like left the 9 to 5, I guess you can say, right? Like I'm sure you were scared, right? Like it was still like uneasy to like go through that. And then you say you were saying no to a lot of those things, like opportunities that 9 to 5 were giving you. But then how did you shift that mentality into saying yes to opportunities for like freelance work and stuff like that?
Mm-hmm. Yeah. I mean, I think you still have to be selective about those opportunities. So, and that's the great thing about, I did save money. I did have an emergency fund to pull from. So I wasn't taking clients out of desperation in the beginning. I've luckily never really felt like I had to take clients out of desperation because I really did set myself up for success in that way. So that's my best advice. I know it's not possible for everybody. Some people just have to start freelancing because they lost their job or they, whatever the case may be, and you can absolutely make it work. So again, I don't want to scare people with that. But if you have a choice in it, and if you're trying to prepare, make sure that you save money. For me, it was like 6 months was my minimum goal of having 6 months of expenses saved in the bank so that I could say no to things. So once I went full-time freelance, I was really trying to, I was past the experience phase because I did that in college and throughout my corporate career. I worked with a lot of different types of clients. And I had really found the types of clients that I loved working with. So that's what I tried to focus on when I was full-time in my business. So I was saying yes I was mostly working with like tech startups and SaaS companies. I said a lot of yeses to those folks. And then actually that's where my courses were born, to be honest, is the people that I said no to. I was like, okay, how can I help these people that maybe don't fit in to that ideal client base or that don't have the budget to work with me? How can I support them? And later down the line, that's where the courses came in.
Yeah, you mentioned that, you learned over time by doing the clients that you like, the clients that are going to be problems or red flags or that you maybe aren't in the position to help based on their needs or whatever. But you learn that by doing. So I think anyone who's just getting started and is worried about who their ideal client is, it's like, well, just go take some clients. And you know what? Some of them are going to suck. Some of them are going to make you miserable. But guess what? It's part of the learning process. And once you dial in who you like to work with, then it can be amazing because your clients are like friends. Your clients are people who you wouldn't run away from if you saw them on the beach or in a bar, right? And that's a beautiful place to be. People you like giving you money to perform a service that you can crush is I think the ultimate goal. So let's talk about that.
Yeah.
Someone is just getting started and they want to be a freelancer. The first thing that comes to my mind is, what if someone really wants to freelance, but they're like, oh, I don't know if I have any skills that I can sell. Is that something that you can help people overcome or at least give advice to?
Yeah, for sure. I mean, I think and to your earlier point, I think that's the answer to a lot of things is just do stuff. Honestly, that's the biggest thing I see is people get really stuck in this over analyzation loop and like I didn't know what I was doing. And I'm really grateful that when I started, there wasn't as much kind of social media noise and there wasn't so much high pressure, I feel like, because I was messing stuff up. I was, I didn't know what I was doing. And I think you have to give yourself that freedom. You're not going to be perfect on day one. You're not going to be perfectly niched down on day one. So just try stuff. And yeah, I guess that's kind of my answer to the second part of that question too, or to that original question is you just got to try things, just got to dabble, get out pen and paper, write down a list of things that you like to do or things that you're interested in, topics or industries that you're interested in. Write down a list of your experience. I think sometimes we really undervalue our experience, whether you worked at the mall or you worked in a factory or you worked in sales somewhere, like that's all experience that you could potentially bring to a business or to a service that you offer. So yeah, write down a list of all your experience, look at the things that you liked and you didn't like, and see if there is some overlap there. And so, yeah, for me, like I went to school for video. So I did a lot of social media videos. I had different industries, like my YouTube channel in the beginning when I was doing beauty videos. That's this first company that I worked with. They were a tech startup for beauty influencers. So I kind of married those passions of video and beauty and influencer marketing. And I started out just consulting and it ended up me doing a full marketing plan for them. So kind of follow those little paths, I guess, and figure out what really speaks to you and just give it a try.
Yeah.
You never know where you're going to end up.
Right. Mm-hmm. And that's how it shifted into like social media manager as well. Like you were managing basically social media from big companies, right? What are some of the responsibilities? Like I can't even imagine like what things can you do, what things can you not do? Like how does that work,
Yeah. I mean, at its core, the job of a social media manager is really to keep the social media feeds going. So to plan out a content calendar, to respond to the inbound thing coming in, the messages and comments. But there can be a lot more to it, especially nowadays where there's like so many different platforms and so many different content types. There is also social media content creators, which are a little bit different. Sometimes the roles are overlapped. So some social media managers also create video content and some of them get on camera. It just really depends. For me, working in corporate, and especially for the types of companies that I was working with, a big thing that I had to pay attention to was customer service. So we got a lot of messages and comments every single day that I had to know how to respond to and field to the appropriate place. A lot of people don't think about social media as customer service, but like when's the last time you picked up the phone to complain about something, right? We go on Twitter or X now. And so that was a big piece of it. And then also just, really getting brand messaging right for like a Fortune 500 company. There are a lot of legal hoops to jump through. There are a lot of rounds of approval that you go through. So I spent a lot of time with different teams, figuring out what the messaging was going to be for the brand and making sure it was appropriate to post.
It's really interesting. So you have the businesses, you have the agency, which we've touched on a little bit. You've got freelancing background, consulting, but you also have, you also have the course sale business. And when we were talking about your course sales prior to going live here, we talked about your social media management course, and that makes up at least half of your revenue, your clients. So what's, is that something that's maybe appealing for someone who's kind of newer to the space where they have this idea that they want to freelance? So social media management is something I can maybe start with, maybe even if it's just for more of the customer service, outbound on the inbound type stuff, and grow from there and evolve from there. Is that kind of how you see clients coming in and what they're looking for?
Absolutely. I think social media management, if you want to do anything in the digital space, so if you want to be a content creator, if you want to work with brands, if you want to become a creator yourself, a lot of different things. I have students who go on to be web designers, graphic designers, SEO people, ad strategists. I think social media management is a really good place to start because it really touches on all of those things. Email marketing, like it's all related. And it's something that I don't want to say it's easy because it certainly is not. Like social media management is a lot more than just scrolling Instagram. Like sometimes I think people think it is. But most people nowadays, if you're, listening to this podcast, you at least have an elementary understanding of social media. Whereas maybe something like SEO, a lot of us don't, in the beginning, we're like, I don't even know what that is. Like you don't do that on a day-to-day basis. So I think social media management is a little bit easier to grasp for people who are, digitally like competent, I guess you could say. And then, there's a lot of different places that you can take it. That was my first job really out of college. And it's really helped me catapult my career entirely. I use those skills every single day. I manage my own social media still. So I think it's a great place to start in the world of digital.
Yeah, those skills are transferable. You can use it for different things, different companies as well. Well, it seems like you have a lot going on. How do you deal with your time management? I mean, you have a podcast, you go on summits, you have a YouTube channel, you create courses. How do you deal with that?
Yeah, well, I will be honest, I am very selective. So like with the full service work, as we talked about, those projects are really involved. Those are 3 to 4 month projects end to end usually. So I'm only working with one person at a time for full service work. At this point, I have no desire to be like a course factory where I'm working with, 100 people at once and have a huge team. I really like to be really involved. I think that's kind of my superpower and why that service works so well. I'm only taking on like one full service client at a time and really making sure that, they're the right fit and that I'm the right fit for them. And then the other stuff, I think as we mentioned, I've been doing YouTube for 10 years, so it feels kind of like second nature at this point to get videos out and podcasts out. I'm actually restructuring my podcast for next year, which I'm really excited about, and bringing back some audio-only episodes. So I'll still be doing the Friday show, the bigger production, but I'm just testing out doing like some mini episodes and bringing in guests, but I'm doing like all the interviews asynchronously, which is kind of cool. So like I'm working on a process is the point that I'm trying to share, is that like there's forms and everything is really easily repeatable. So it doesn't feel like I'm completely reinventing the wheel every single time that I press record. I think that's the secret, if I had one, is consistency and having process for everything.
I think if you have the process, then it becomes familiar, and then it becomes almost like second nature, and it doesn't seem like work, or it doesn't seem like a struggle, or it doesn't seem like a big undertaking that has to happen, and you see it on your calendar and you freak out because you're not ready to do it or what have you. It just becomes second nature. And so your podcast,
you can outsource it.
Yeah, exactly. If you have your SOPs, your standard operating procedures documented and in order, and they do the process, then you can outsource that. The Freelance Friday podcast, that's a YouTube only podcast that you were referencing. What does that look like? What if you give us a preview of that? Because I'm really interested in this freelance stuff, because I love to serve those people who want to get started but just don't know where to begin. And the cool thing about freelancing versus affiliate marketing, in my mind, is affiliate marketing, the work's got to be done before you start making the money. You have to build up the following, or you have to build the funnels, or you have to rank, or whatever it is. So it's great. It is, as we talked about earlier, mostly passive once things get rolling, but it takes time for things to get rolling. So freelancing are for those who just like, I just want to work and then start generating some revenue. So if someone were to want to dip their toes in and think, well, maybe freelance is for me. I mean, obviously, I'm sure you have a lot of resources, but what could they expect over at the Freelance Friday podcast on YouTube?
Yeah, for sure. Well, it is available on audio platforms as well. So it's available on Spotify and Apple as well. But yeah, we also do it on YouTube, which is great. I started out as kind of like answering all the questions that people had for me about how I started my business. So really breaking it down step by step, how to start a freelance business. So I share my personal stories. I also bring in interviews and guests who are doing things differently from me. Like I said, I started as a social media manager and video producer. But I talk to graphic designers and coaches and all kinds of different people who are making money online. And then, yeah, like I said, in the new year, I'm actually going to be bringing in some mini episodes as well that are going to share more of the community stories. So number one question that I get asked is, how do you get clients? So we've got a segment that, allows the community to kind of share their client acquisition journeys because they all look different. We've got some Q&A segments, and yeah, it's a fun time.
Nice. So you're gonna have different structures with the podcast. And you say you're gonna reinvent it. Basically, you're gonna redo it, right, for like 2024, right? Are you excited about that?
Yeah, I'm super excited. The Friday episode is going to be the same, so we're still going to have like a longer form episode, but I wanted to test out just doing some shorter episodes more frequently because I've had the podcast since 2018.
Wow.
And I've always done a weekly show. And I'm like, I don't know, what would happen if I did more? When I did more YouTube videos, everything went up. So I'm curious if, a 3 times weekly podcast will be helpful as well. So it's a little bit of a test, but I'm excited for it. It's fun.
And then when
That's
you do the
interesting.
podcast, are you promoting anything on it? Maybe your own courses as well, your own services?
Yeah, I do work with brands. So I have a couple of key brand sponsors that sponsor the show pretty consistently. So most of my episodes have at least a 30-second branded ad read. But for the ones that don't, and especially for these mini episodes, I am going to be either promoting my own courses or affiliate links for my key affiliate partners as well. So
Awesome.
And what was your process? Just because we're on a podcast here, and we started this podcast really to meet people and share their stories and see where it goes. Right? We didn't need income from it. We just wanted to create it and see where it goes. But what would be a tip from someone who has brand sponsorship if we wanted to go down that route? What sort of avenues would we go down in order to secure something like that?
yeah, for me, historically, getting sponsorships for the podcast has been difficult until I started really positioning it to include the YouTube podcast. And I don't know if that's just a me thing, if that's just me not knowing the podcasting industry very well, just figuring it out. But yeah, the YouTube podcast has brought a lot of value just because it's like, I think the thing about podcasts is the metrics are so hidden, which I kind of like because it takes a lot of the pressure off. I think that, it's one of the reasons why I think it's a little easier for people to get started with a podcast than a YouTube channel sometimes. And I love that about it. But I think for brands, it can be like, wait, is this a real thing? Like, what is a listen? So my recommendation for podcasters who are looking to get monetized with brand work is to post on YouTube as well. Build up your YouTube channel because I think brands really value that. I also think, and you both are in affiliate marketing, so I'm sure you can speak to this really well. That's something else that's been really helpful is developing case studies that you can use to pitch to brands. And obviously, it's like, how do you get experience when you don't have experience, right? But I think affiliate marketing is a great example of this. If you can say, hey, I have this affiliate link and I've referred 100 people or, whatever, now sponsor me and actually pay me for that, whether it's to that same brand or to a different brand, that's a great example. And even before maybe if you don't do affiliate marketing, develop your own case studies. So build an email list, start a newsletter, create a lead magnet that you can track, and then you can show to brands and say, hey, I'm converting this many people already. And that, that acts as a little bit of a proof of concept. And it's not just this idea.
That's really interesting because that makes a lot of sense. I never thought about it like that. But really, what you're doing is you're showing that publication leads to attention, which leads to action. And that's what brands want. They want action. And so if you can simply show, hey, listen, I've created 20 episodes and I've generated 1,000 leads, then there's a value to that metric. We created one episode where we promoted one single product. It generated X number of leads. So if we can put that into a case study, they say, yeah, here's what you can expect. That's really interesting. I do appreciate that.
Yeah.
And then have you had any guests, like big name guests on your podcast? How are you able to find those people to be on your podcast?
Yeah, I wouldn't say, I don't know, I guess to define big name, I've had a lot of great leaders in their space. I worked with a friend and freelancer. Her name's Morgan Overholt. She's earned like over, I think at this point, probably much more, but at that point she had earned over like $500,000 just on Upwork. So she's definitely a thought leader in that space. I talked to someone who has a really great YouTube channel called Love in London. Her name's Just Dante. She's really brilliant at all things marketing and funnels. So yeah, I like to talk to people who are actually doing the work, who are, I guess, thought leaders in their own way. How I reach out to them is, I think you got to start with relationship building. I don't really like to do a ton of like cold pitching. I usually just start by following the person. I'm a fan of the person to start with, and just build up a relationship. Doesn't have to be anything huge, but just commenting back and forth a little bit, kind of warming them up to where when they see my name in their inbox, they're going to open it. They're going to recognize me. That really helps. So yeah. But
it's almost done before they ask at that point, right?
Yeah, for sure. And a lot of times people are like actually shocked. They're like, oh my gosh, I would love to be on your show. Like I didn't, I'm very honored to be on it. So that relationship, that's what marketing, that's what sales, that's what it's all about, is relationship building. That's how I approach it, at least, especially when you are a personal brand and you're a front facing brand. It has to come from a very authentic place. Otherwise, yeah, it doesn't work so well.
Yeah. And that's exactly right. That's what marketing is. So for example, I look over when we were talking about your course business and your lead generation strategy, and majority of your clients or course attendees or whatever you want to call them come from YouTube. And as I look over at your YouTube today, you have 86,000 subscribers over on YouTube. So congratulations. It's a great achievement. But that's what it is. YouTube is just building relationships at scale. Now, I wanted to get to this earlier, and as the time ticks down, I want to make sure we get back to it. Let's talk about YouTube and how you use it for client acquisition, lead generation, whatever you want to call it. You did mention when we said that we searched out social media management, you popped up. You said that SEO on YouTube is working. So I have a background in SEO, but I'll be honest, I've been kind of lured away by the drug that is short form content over the last 3 years, successfully, but still nonetheless, I've been lured away. And now as I see the market shift, I'm like, oh yeah, it's time to put some focus back on YouTube. So if we're talking about YouTube SEO, what's changed since you've been in the industry so long? What's working right now? What are some of the key factors or metrics that we need to look at or implement in order to be successful with YouTube SEO?
Yeah. Well, as a non-SEO person, I can tell you very much in layman's terms. I mean, I am not, like I said, I've always had a blog. I know the basics, but I'm not a pro by any means. For me, my approach to YouTube SEO has always just been find a keyword that you want to rank for, and make sure that keyword is all over the place appropriately, of course. So don't like keyword stuff your description box. But, for me, like I said, my biggest course, the Social Media Management Accelerator. So for a very long time, social media management or social media manager was in almost every single one of my video titles. Nowadays, I've kind of broadened that a little bit once I sort of earned those top spots, if you will, in the SEO rankings, and built up email lists and things like that. And just diversified my own personal interests, because at the end of the day, I have to like what I'm creating videos about. I would get bored if that was all that I did forever. But yeah, for a good year or so, I was like, I'm going to make social media manager videos. So title, social media manager, description box, making sure that in that first 1 to 2 lines in the YouTube description box, you also have either repeating that keyword or a different variation. So if the title is social media manager Q&A, I might write in the description box, today I'm going to answer your questions about social media management, like kind of giving those alternative phrasings early on. And then tags. Tags are not quite as important. At least that's what YouTube says, but I still max them out. I still use as many tags as are going to be truly relevant and appropriate. And I do the same thing there. I copy the title, put that in the tags. They're long form tags. So different phrasings, different spellings. Sometimes if people, often misspell a phrase or your name or something like that, putting that in there. And yeah, that's kind of the extent of the SEO. And then also I think it comes down to just, your content strategy and what you're talking about, making sure that you are paying attention to what's trending, what's going on in the market, and responding to those things. Because we talked about niching earlier. I think you can be too niche sometimes. If you were talking about like a very, very technical, super niche thing that people aren't searching for, well, it can be the best video ever, but people aren't going to see it. So you have to find a way to kind of tie it back to a greater topic that maybe people are talking about. A tool that I really like is called TubeBuddy. It's a browser extension that you can use to kind of analyze your keywords, analyze your titles, and see. It gives you a score of, the competition compared with the search volume. So how likely you are to actually rank. So those are my best SEO tips.
Yeah, you don't want to rank for something that nobody's searching for. It's like Manhattan real estate versus real estate in the middle of the Arizona desert. There's a reason why land in the Arizona desert's $10,000 an acre, and there's a reason why land in Manhattan is millions and millions and millions of dollars a block. So, yeah, that's a good tip, because I did make that mistake with my first ever blog 11 years ago. I was like, oh yeah, I'm going to niche down and I'm just going to dominate it. Well, I ranked for a lot of keywords, but nobody was searching for them. So that was kind of a failed experiment. Made a little bit of money, but not too good. And that's something that was brought up on actually the last episode from the gentleman that we had on. He talked about, you don't always have to attack your specific keyword. You can attack what people are searching for, what they think they need, and then kind of filter them back to your area of expertise, right?
I love that. Yeah, that's a great thing. This year I started a series where I'm kind of talking about, it's like a social media news show, essentially. So I'm bringing in some of the trending topics. This really started out of all the stuff that's going on with Twitter and Elon Musk. People kept asking me about it. It's very much dominating, the news feeds. So I'm like, how can I take some of this attention and, bring it back to my offers, bring it back to what I do. So I do this series every month where I kind of recap all of the headlines that are relevant to my audience. And they do really well at, that top of the funnel, like catching people's attention, getting people to click, and then they're kind of funneled down throughout. And that's how I actually convert most people to my courses, is through email. So they get offered a lead magnet, and then email is how I really am selling them the courses.
Yeah, that's something that me and Brian actually talked about as well. Finding what's trending out there in the news, and then utilizing that with your business and try to funnel them into your own ecosystem, I guess you can say. Because we talked about Taylor Swift when she was blowing up with the thing, and then we were able to funnel those people into our system, So that's super smart that you actually do that as well.
Absolutely. My best performing TikTok ever is a Taylor Swift TikTok, and I was like, of course, this is like what I go viral for. But yeah, I did a YouTube video on Taylor Swift's marketing, just kind of like unpacking some of the different strategies she's used and how you can apply it to your own business. It actually kind of tanked on YouTube. It didn't do very well on YouTube, but I repurposed it onto TikTok, and this is why I'm a big advocate for repurposing, and it blew up on TikTok and Instagram Reels. So yeah, take your wins where you can, I guess.
I was doing the research and I saw the Taylor Swift video. I'm like, oh, yep, she's, I see what's going on here, and I really appreciated it.
Yeah,
repurposing actually really, really works, and it makes your life easier too. You can do the long form on YouTube and then just get clips from it, put it somewhere else, and then you're gonna get more eyes to your business business to yourself.
Absolutely.
So one more thing that I want to talk about is paid ads and organic traffic, right?
Yeah.
I know we talked a little bit about organic traffic before the interview, that's what you mainly focus on. And my question is why? Why not try to do paid traffic to get more clients?
Yeah. Yeah, that's a great question. I'm by no means against paid ads. I actually, in my corporate days, I was a paid ads manager. So I see, they can work, or at least they did then. I just haven't really needed to at this point. I don't feel like I have needed to. I've tested running some ads, didn't see the ROI that I was really looking for to make it worth it, in my opinion. And I find that organic traffic is just very well qualified. Whereas when I was running paid ads, at least to a cold audience, I think it's a little different if you're running paid ads to your existing follower base. But when you're running paid ads to a cold audience, you then still have to overcome a lot of those, objections and work them down the funnel as well. Whereas with organic traffic, they've consumed a bunch of your content. They've done the research. They are then coming to you pretty well qualified and pretty well, informed about your offers. So I find that I don't really do a lot of selling. I really don't. I'm just answering questions. I'm like confirming what people kind of already know about my products. And that feels really good and feels really natural for me. I don't ever want to feel like I'm being like a pushy, aggressive salesperson. So that's what works for me. And I think YouTube is a really great place. I still rank for videos that I made 3-4 years ago. I still get leads every day from work that I've done years ago. So it's, until that stops working, I guess then we'll reassess. But for now, I'm happy with what I've got.
Yeah, that's definitely something to consider because, YouTube, the conversion rates from YouTube, at least in my history of being on every single social media platform and 6 figures in paid ad traffic, is like the conversion rate on YouTube is stupid, for lack of a better word. It's so high that it's worth it. So if you're not seeing the numbers that you might see on TikTok, a video gets 600 views instead of 60,000 views. It doesn't mean that it's going to make you less money. It might make you more. So I'm a big fan of YouTube. So one thing I want to get to before I go to the next very, very, very important question is, so what someone's hearing this right now and they're like, freelancing. Okay, maybe that's the avenue because I've tried this, I've tried that, and it's not clicking for me, it's not working. What would be the best place to get started with you? Where should they go first?
Yeah, YouTube, honestly. YouTube is great. I have almost anything that you have a question about, just type in YouTube, Latasha James, followed by your question. I can almost guarantee you there's going to be an answer there. You can also check out, I have a social media management starter kit and a free freelancing course actually at latashajames.com/free if you want to check out any of those free resources as well. Those are both great places to start.
Well, free resources are a great place to start. They can get to know you a little bit more and see if this is something they might want to pursue. So we'll go ahead and link the YouTube channel and the access to the free course down in the show notes or the YouTube description, depending on where you're watching or listening. But now my very next important question is, you said you moved to Detroit after college. Where'd you go to college? Did you go to college in Michigan?
Yeah, Western Michigan.
All right. These are all very important questions to me because I went to Michigan State University, so I got to know.
Okay.
I got to know things, and I don't have to boo you. Western Michigan is just fine. Is that in Kalamazoo, or is it just outside of Kalamazoo?
Yep.
Yeah. Okay.
Yep,
We talked about Kalamazoo on the last podcast because the gentleman was from that area, and we talked about Bell's Brewing and stuff like that. So, anytime I get a fellow,
I gotta check them out.
Yeah, fellow Michigander in here, I gotta chat with them about that and make sure they didn't go to U of M, most importantly. But I now live in Texas, so it's been a while, but my family still lives there. So. Yeah. What part of Detroit do you live in? Do you live in Metro Detroit? Okay.
Well, that's what I was going to just say to you is a little disappointing. You might be disappointed in me as I am pretty close to U of M now. I moved to the burbs and that's kind of right next door now. So yeah, I mean, I don't really care about football. Just putting that out
yeah,
there.
we
So
at
it's
Michigan
fine.
State University don't carry that. We care about basketball, even though it's not going so well.
Okay,
But yeah, I just wanted to find out, and it's always nice to revisit Michigan. And even if you're not in Ann Arbor, I want to ask you specifics, but that's a beautiful area. So it's really cool. And as long as you're, okay with winter, I guess, because we're getting to that season. Huh?
Yeah, I know. Yeah. Grew up in Kalamazoo, though. Kalamazoo is still my favorite. I think it's such an underrated town in Michigan. It really was a great place to grow up. So I'm looking forward to spending some time back home this holiday season.
Awesome. So you're gonna start 2024 with a brand new podcast. I guess you can say new structure. I guess you can say with the podcast. What else is in it for the future for yourself, Latasha?
Yeah, doing a lot of speaking as well. Excited that events are back. These past, this year and 2024, I've done a lot of speaking or have a lot of speaking booked as well. So I'll be at Social Media Marketing World in February. I'll be at CEX in Cleveland in May, and probably some other things along the way too. So yeah, just enjoying like getting out there, talking to people, and seeing what's next, I guess, for the freelancing industry.
Yeah,
really cool.
Networking, meeting new people, and then also, what are the things that you're teaching them? Social media manager, I'm guessing.
Yeah, social media management accelerator. So it's a cohort-based course. So we'll be opening a new cohort early in the year as well. I also have a membership group that I create a new mini course for every single month. So lots of different topics that we cover there. I've got a YouTube course coming out very soon within that membership, and we're doing a podcasting challenge soon. So yeah, lots of fun stuff.
Well, it's really cool. I appreciate you coming on to share your story and share your expertise, because it is a different angle that maybe we haven't seen on this podcast before. And on a personal note, it was great to meet you. I love the way you look at the industry, and I love the way you try new things, and I love the way you attack it and try to help other people. So I really do appreciate your time. One thing we like to do on this on this show is, as a thank you, we can turn around and give you the opportunity to ask a question of Andre or myself. If you want, now would be the time to do that, and we'd be happy to answer it for you.
Yeah. Okay. I love this because, like I said, I just got back from a conference. I'm one of a tool that I use. I'm one of their top affiliates. Apparently, I always look at affiliate marketing for me as kind of a side thing. It's just like okay, it's nice when that comes in at the end of the month, but it's nothing I like count on or really plan for. So I guess if you had to give me one tip, if I wanted to really pull the lever on affiliate marketing this year, where would you start? I know it's a broad question, but based on what you know about me and my business.
For you and your business, look, I will look at the tools that people use, ManyChat, Canva, all of those different tools that people use, and start focusing maybe your content or give reviews about those products as well, because it goes well hand in hand with your niche, I guess you can say. Video editors, there's different things that you can actually promote. But yeah, I mean, me and Brian, we are course creators. We have affiliates that work under us to promote our courses as well. So maybe that's another area where you can go. You can have people promote your course to other social media people that want to learn,
Yeah, love that. That's something I'm working on too, actually.
Yeah, and my business model really since 2016 has been pretty simple from the affiliate side, and I even use it to sell my own courses. I start like you do. I have my free course. That free course has been my lead magnet since 2016. High perceived value. The value of giving away a free course, obviously, but it also helps people build belief in themselves. And when they start to believe in themselves, that's when they're going to actually follow through with the purchase, because they believe in their ability to get results. So as far as your actual question goes, you may do this, but I mean, tools, absolutely jam your free courses and even your paid courses with tools, with links. Reference them, make sure you're showing people not necessarily just what you use, but why you use it and how it works. And they're like, oh, that's cool. I need that. And then they'll go buy it. Obviously, that makes it very simple. 2017, 2018, 2019, ClickFunnels was a massive opportunity. Yeah. There was so much buzz. Now, in the affiliate marketing space, another funnel building software called System.io is getting all this buzz. If you've been on social media for a minute, you've probably heard of Go High Level, right? These are softwares that business owners need that pay good monthly recurring revenue. So if I were you and you wanted to double down on this, I would say what software is going to be the next 3 years? And to me, that could be Go High Level. I haven't done a lot of investigation, but I know the buzz is increasing. So I would get in there, learn it if you don't know it, and then I would create a Go High Level course because you have the ability, you have the following, and then that would bring people in, show them different ways they can monetize it. It might lead to other sales of other courses in your brand, but most specifically design that to show people how to use it, how they can make money with it, what features are going to help them convert leads, schedule their social media, whatever it may be.
Yeah.
And I would be the authority on that because you could get in front of that search traffic. Then you already bringing in qualified leads that are just, have heard about it. They're just, I don't know. So go find the buzz and then become an authority on that buzz would be my number one tip for you.
That's such a good tip. All right. Taking notes.
All right.
You're going to see some free courses from me in the new year, I guess.
Very good. Well, thank you very much, Latasha, for coming on. Thanks, listener, for sticking with us. Once again, we'll link all those resources that you provide down in the show notes or down in the description, depending on where you're watching. And we wish you great luck in 2024. I can't wait to see the new podcast. I'll be checking it out. As always, reach out if you need anything. And thanks again for coming on the show.
Yeah. Thanks so much. Appreciate it.
Thank you so much. Bye, everybody.
Bye.
We'll see you all on the next episode of the Evolved Marketing Podcast.